Hey there, welcome to Pop Culture Cupid.
I'm Alison, love coach, here to help you single people find your way back to love.
And I'm Michal, I'm a single life coach. I help singles embrace themselves and their singleness, as well as develop a healthy self-relationship.
In this podcast, we will look at how pop culture impacts romance, dating, and your love life.
And each week we'll shoot another arrow through another pop culture delusion.
I thought we weren't going to do the whole cheesy thing.
And then burst into smithereens.
Oh my god, dude, that's so cringe!
Sorry, it's in the intro now.
If you make it through the chaos and you enjoy what you hear, please leave a comment, like, subscribe, and go to all the social media.
At Pop Culture Cupid on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Enjoy!
Sign.
Recording in progress.
Okay, that went smoothly. Take 2 of episode of Lori Gottlieb and Steven Bartlett part 2. So to let everybody in behind the curtain of the ins and outs of this fabulous podcast, we just took 5 minutes and decided we're going to do a part 2 of the previous conversation, because the podcast in itself lasted an hour and 45 minutes, the one we're talking about. So, you know, we can't really cover it in just one episode. There's
so much more to say.
But before we go in, we've been getting a couple of comments, but mainly one that you saw. Do you want to say something about it?
Well, it was someone who, I think it was a clip, because it was a clip that I took out of the podcast and put it on YouTube, of myself talking about, I mean, it was part of a much larger conversation about talking about victimhood and how, so she was saying that what we were doing was victim blaming, because, you know, there's certain aspects of being a victim that need to be spoken about, and that it's important to raise it, and for some people they need to talk about it, and how, you know, it's unfair to say that they're complaining or victimizing themselves, where I think it's important to make that distinction between being a victim and victimizing yourself. Because I think in that specific conversation we also weren't really talking about people who were actually victims. It was just people who were making a victim out of themselves. And I think a lot of times people harp on the victimhood card, or they use it as excuses to treat other people badly, or to not do anything with in their life, and to stay stuck in their place, you know, and they use it as an excuse for their bad behavior. And I think it's important to make that distinction, because if we can't tell a person that they're not being okay because they may be a victim to someone else, then that's a problem, because then that continues this cycle of people just being able to use their victimhood as an excuse. So I'm saying 2 things here, basically. That one, there's a difference between being a victim and deciding that you're a victim and just harping on the victimhood, and actually being a victim, but then using it as an excuse, harping on it, not to say that you're at fault or you're to blame for being a victim, which wasn't said in any way in that video. But it's important to also know how at some point to say, I am taking charge and I'm taking responsibility, and I'm refusing to let that define me in my life.
Yeah, I completely agree. And, you know, it's, and I think we specifically said, like, we're not victim blaming, but obviously in a short clip, you can't, you know, you're not going to put the whole thing. And I understand, like, where this person might be coming from. Some people lived really tough things, and they need to be kind of seen, and, you know, I don't know if the word is honored, but like just seen and received in that moment. And I 100% agree with that. But then what you're saying is, but that can't define you, which I also agree with. But specifically, some people who are not victims, like, and that just kind of create the drama around something that doesn't need any drama. And I can't remember exactly what the episode was, but I'm, you know, this is what I feel, so I'm pretty sure this is what we were saying of, you know, yeah, sometimes you need like victims, and sometimes you need to talk about these intense things that are happening to you, whatever that happened. Some people are just playing the victim card when they're just not, and they're, you know, oh, this toxic masculinity and blah blah blah. It's just, that's just wrong. Like, you fucked up, he fucked up, move on. Like, you're not, nobody, like, nobody's a victim here. And it's on, you know, making a difference. And so how, you know, everybody's living through trauma, and everybody's depressed, and everybody's, you know, I agree that it's a spectrum, but it's, you know, and what's important to you is definitely important and shouldn't be compared to the world's tragedies, but you therefore don't compare yourself to the world's tragedies, type of thing. So I mean, thanks for the comment. I think it's interesting, and
no, it's an important thing. I'm glad they pointed it out, because I'm glad that now we can clarify, because it really is an important distinction between, you know, actually being a victim to something and being able to use your voice to not only work through it, but also help others. I think it's important for victims to speak up and talk about what they're going through, and not only for themselves, but also for everyone else and for the world. But there are a lot of people who are either playing on the fact that, you know, being a victim is glorified these days, or how, you know, it's the easy excuse or the easy way out of anything.
Yeah.
And, you know, where they see these days, I don't know, like, you know, if someone from your background or race or religion or whatever is being victimized for who they are, but you're not, but you're anyway gonna roll with it and play the victim because, you know, someone else with the same criteria is being victimized, then that's not okay, because you're creating a bigger issue than it was. And it's funny because it was from an episode that I was looking it up. It was from an episode that we're talking about Love is Blind.
Okay.
And I'm trying to remember what the whole conversation was about, but yeah.
So thanks for comments. And we also enjoy the men that tell us that we're wrong. Please keep those comments coming, because the views on social media, like, you know, the more you comment, the more people
we want more comments. I actually, you know, bring it on. I think it's important. It's also great inspiration for conversations between us and for the podcast. But I think, you know, it brings more traffic, it brings more discussions, and it brings more
interactions,
and I think it's we love the men who tell us that, you know, we're old hags who no one's gonna want to date and end up alone with 10 cats. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I had someone a comment not long ago. He's like, you're gonna end up all alone with your 10 cats or something like that with your cats. And I was like, I'm actually a dog person, but thanks. So even though Ev has a cat, so like we're very different in that way. So
I'm the cat person and JT is a dog person. I mean, I love animals. Oh my god, I'm a 10th of the way there. I've got a cat. I'm a 10th of the way there. Damn it.
Amazing.
Anyway, get back to the more interesting topics than becoming crazy cat ladies, or dog ladies. So Lori Bartlett, and so we finished off on about
Lori Bartlett. I love that.
Oh no, Lori Gottlieb and Steven Bartlett. I think she's married and he's in a relationship. That just doesn't work. Anyway, you said you had more notes, so I'm gonna wait for you to kind of prompt.
There was actually something that she said right in the beginning, I think it was, and they didn't. I think she might have dived into it in another podcast that I watched, and I might be conflating the two conversations that she had about this. But she was talking about how when we want change in our life, when we want something to change in our life, then we expect someone else to do the changing. Gesundheit. And
Thank you.
yeah, Alison just sneezed for everybody. And she turned off the mic so she wouldn't bother and so she wouldn't make a fuss, and then I went ahead and brought it up anyway. Sorry. I blame the time. Yeah, so anyway, we something isn't working in our life, and we feel like we need something to change, but we're not willing to do the change. We want someone else to do the change. We want someone else to change and to adapt. And because that's like the easy choice, right? We want other people. We can't possibly be wrong. We can't possibly be doing anything that needs changing. And so we expect everyone else around us to adapt and to change, but we're not willing to do it ourselves.
Yeah, so. It's this thing of, I think I have such interesting conversations with different women, and therefore I forget who I have them with. You know, I think when you start, and I was definitely a victim of this, because I was on such a huge path of development and like working on myself and things like that, that I had very specific ideas of what other people should be doing, because I kept thinking to myself, like, I'm so right, like oh my god, I've realized that I'm completely right in this, like everybody else should do exactly what I do because I'm so right. And it took a while, and humbling situations where I was completely wrong, and other situations when I wasn't so, you know, I wasn't wrong, but other people were right in a different way, because, you know, that's just the way it is. And having these expectations of, yeah, you know, I definitely was thinking, you know, they should adapt to me and not me to them because I'm so right. And during that whole time, I was single, because and I wasn't even, I'm exaggerating it now, but that's probably how I came off to people, of just like, yeah, she's nice, but oh my god, is she so completely up herself? And you know, there is no right or wrong answer, and so, you know, it's just finding a middle. And she uses the word, sorry.
No, go on.
She uses the word compromise that I don't like, because compromise today has the connotation of I'm kind of giving up on something that I don't agree with that. I think if you're going to go with something that's different to who you are, it's an opportunity to grow and become something better. You know, if you're going to take, you know, the image
open-minded.
Of yeah, exactly, and just intertwining and becoming something completely new. Whereas if, you know, both on a straight line, and it's not, you know, you're not compromising, but you're not creating something completely different.
Exactly. And I think it's harder to be with someone or to create conversation with someone when you're not willing to listen, or when you're listening but you're still like assuming that you're going to be right no matter what they say, and you're unable to open up your mind to other perspectives or to other opinions. And we get so stubborn because we don't want, it's very hard for us to admit that we're wrong. It's very hard for us as humans to change our minds. And I think there's a quote that I'm probably going to butcher because I can't remember it exactly, where it's something like, you know, one of the hardest things to do is to unlearn something and then relearn it again. There's something about that. I should probably look it up and say it properly. But and I think there's a strength to that when you're able to say that you're wrong, or you're able to say I may not know everything, or you're able to say that this is my opinion. It doesn't mean that everyone has to think the exact same way as I do. This is my opinion, and you have your opinions, and that's okay. It's okay for us, and even probably good for us, to not have the exact same opinions. And each person brings their own perspective, and together, when you're in a relationship, you create a new perspective together while still each having your own. You know, when you're creating an open space, an environment where you can just be yourself and you're able to share without feeling bad, or without bringing the other person down, or without constantly having to have a person who's right in the situation. It's okay to have a situation where no one person is right, you know, and that there's, and I think there was also something that she said about unknowing yourself, to be able to unknow who you are and re-know yourself and get to know yourself better, because as humans, we're constantly evolving, we're constantly changing. And this was another discussion that I had with Zev, where we were talking about how, you know, I'm not the same person that I'm going to be further down the line. We don't know where we're going to be. And as in a relationship, we're constantly getting to know each other all over again, you know, and that's why it's so important to create this communication where you're talking and you're and I think that's where a lot of people grow apart. And I'm kind of digressing here, I think, but a lot of people grow apart where they stop communicating and they stop sharing. And because we're constantly growing and evolving, then they're growing apart, you know?
Yeah, completely. Completely. And it's, you know, today people give up too easily.
Yes, they do.
They give up too easily, and they, you know, so there's this YouTuber that I don't know her name, and I don't particularly like her, so I'm not going to advertise her thing, but she, you know, one of her shorts showed up on my feed, and she was just saying about a woman divorced her husband because she got married at 24, and then at 30 she kind of saw that she was going to become this career woman, and he was more of a stay-at-home type of guy, and so she realized that he wasn't the guy for her. Therefore her advice was, don't get married too young. Fine. And then the YouTuber comments saying, but you know, that's what getting married is all about. Like, you choose someone and you commit to someone, and then you don't give up because you change. You just find a way to adapt to each other and grow together, and like give him a chance. Like, if you became this, what was he doing to allow you to become this type of situation? And I agree with both sides of, you know, one, don't get married too young. Yes, I agree with that. But I agree with what the YouTuber was saying of just, you know, you're 30, which isn't much older than 24. I mean, if you really think about it.
And you'll likely change again 10 times over throughout your life, you know, there's going to be more.
Exactly. And it's, you know, so you promised, you know, you committed yourself to this guy, you made promises to him and all of these things, and now you're just giving up on them because you're changing. Like, you know, he was there, he was like stable for you, and things happen, and so, you know, do you want to, I don't know, it felt a bit strange to me. And so yeah, you know,
the
whole thing of giving up too easily.
Yeah. No, she's Lori Gottlieb also said that the change is very hard for us because it means we have to do something difficult, and it means we have to let go of the familiar. She was talking about mainly when you have to change something in yourself, that means you have to let go of a part of you that is familiar. And especially when you're in a relationship, and this is probably true for romantic and platonic relationships, where, you know, a person is not going to remain the same their whole life. And if you're in a friendship or relationship with someone throughout many years, then you either have to adapt to one another and be able to accept the change, and that, you know, you have to let go of what was familiar to you in that relationship. Then you should get comfortable letting go of people. You're either going to lose that person, or you're going to have to put in the effort to accept the change and to work with the change, because at the end of the day, you can't, you know, continue. I mean, you can't just give up every single time that it requires hard work, because then you're never going to be with anyone, you know, because any relationship that you're in, you're going to have to put an effort. Again, any type of relationship, it requires effort, and we don't want to do that because we feel like it's not worthy of our time. I don't know why, but like we think, you know, everything should revolve around us.
That the whole thing of not everybody should be, you shouldn't, one person shouldn't be your everybody. And it links to, you want to surround yourself with people who kind of, bring you up and things like that, which is completely fair. But in your relationship, you're not looking, in your, romantic home creating relationship, you're not looking for someone that is going to challenge you and make you grow. You can have, colleagues that do that, or friends that do that. With building a home with someone, you want stability and dependability, and and you want, I think, I would say that people who feel challenged all day every day would want to come home to a cozy night under the duvet of just doing nothing and not being challenged. Even though being challenged is exciting at times, that's fine.
It gets exhausting.
But it gets exhausting, and and it's sometimes, JT and I will play, we've got challenging days, and so when we come home, usually we like to play a board game that challenges us. But when we've had a challenging day, I want to just watch a film and do nothing and switch everything off. But because I've got, other things that challenge me, my work, when I was a full-time coach, it was challenging, and having these, I'm going to be tired after this 2-hour conversation, because it's not a challenging conversation, but we're not just talking about easy stuff. We're kind of thinking through it, and I'm just going to be tired after it. And so I'm happy to have JT to kind of just relax with and not have another challenging conversation, because when those challenging conversations happen, you feel a bit spent.
Yeah, I think it's important to be able to have a lot of different types of conversations with your partner. But at the end, Dev and I have a lot of conversations where I'm like, God damn it, I just want to put on a microphone now and record this, because it's such an impactful conversation, and it's so many important key factors here for others to learn from. But then there's certain days where I'm like, I don't have energy, like that I think it was previous episode
wine,
that we just recorded, the wine thing. I was like, I remembered, telling myself, get over yourself. What are you doing? Why are you being such a brat? Why are you behaving this way? And I just felt like I have absolutely no energy in my body, and I know that I can depend on him to be there for me, and not because I'm stepping all over him, not because I'm taking him for granted, or that I'm not appreciating it, because it's completely the opposite. It's because I know that I can depend on him, because I know that he trusts me to not do it just for the sake of it, or just to hurt him, or to take advantage of him. Where it's just, I don't have the strength in me right now, and I need him to be strong for me at the moment. And I know that he can, because we have this stable relationship that's not overly dramatic, that it's not overly straining, and it's not overly complicated. We have these moments where we're just sitting together, drinking wine, doing nothing, not even watching anything. And we love it. We don't like going out to most fancy restaurants. We don't like going out to clubs and bars and living up life in these crazy places. And I think that's such a for us, it's really healthy to have that stable, boring, with quotation marks, life, because it's predictable, but it's also allowing us to be ourselves, to be calm, to not constantly worry about putting up guards and put on masks and filter our words, and worry that if we say the wrong thing, the other person's gonna get the ick, or gonna run away, or whatever it is. And so, I think there's something very good about being a bit boring, or a bit
predictable,
calm, predictable. Yeah.
I mean, I said it in one of our first episodes, of like, people who say they want James Bond, they don't want James Bond. Like, think about it.
They think they want it. Yeah.
They think they want it, but they don't want it. Honestly, think about it. Would you rather fear for your life every day, or watch a film under a duvet? Honestly.
Yeah, no, I'm not that person who's gonna want to. Oh, God damn it! I'm not like. It was funny because I had this conversation with my best friend, and like, you know, started like we have such. Zev and I, we have such a laid back life. Both of us, we both live in very quiet places. Him especially, and I was talking to my best friend and was telling her about, you know, we're just having this conversation with her. There's always things going on. She's always like some crazy story to tell. And she was telling me how she was a bit jealous, but not really jealous of my life because it was so calm and stable and relaxed. And I'm like, yeah, but you wouldn't survive a day in my life. You'd be too bored. And I'm like, you know, some people just need, I guess, the thrill. They need the excitement of the big city. They need the whatever it is.
But I think
to each their own.
That to go back to whatever, I don't know if there was Lori Gottlieb that was saying it, but even those people need a timeout.
Yeah, definitely. And everyone needs a timeout.
And so if she, you know, and if these people who want to have an exciting relationship, they'll probably have a very boring job.
Yeah.
Or if they have an exciting relationship and an exciting job, they'll have a boring hobby like knitting or something. Like they'll have something like people don't live 100%. Well, yeah, I want to take up knitting and crochet, but I haven't come around to it. But you know, it's you want to come around. You know, there is a point where you will just need to just recharge, and so different people need different amounts of, you know, recharging, which is fine, but you still need to.
Yeah, no, I'm a huge believer in being able to. That's why I believe so much in hobbies. I think hobbies are often perceived as something wasteful, and just you're wasting your time when you have so much more productive things that you can do. But I feel like hobbies are such a great way to recharge and spend quality time with ourselves and enjoying our own company, because they don't really require much effort usually. Like depending on the hobby, they don't require too much brain usage. They don't require going out of your way. You have fun doing it, and it's most of the time it's relaxing, it's calming, you feel in tune with yourself, and you're not doing it to be productive. You're not doing it to check something off your to-do list. You're doing it purely for yourself and for your own well-being. And I think it's so crucial for that purpose, if anything else, for just that purpose only, for just doing something purely for yourself and for just because you want to do it and just because you feel like doing it, you know. And to the hell to all the, you know, those reality checks of like, you know, you should be doing something better with your time or whatever it is. And
it's funny because I take singing lessons and I take drama lessons and just for the fun of it. And a friend told me, well, as soon as I told this friend that I was taking up singing and drama, she was like, oh, why? It's like, what do you mean why? Well, do you want to try becoming an actress? I was like, no, it's just for me. I just want to do it for me.
It's fun. I love it.
I used to act Spanish.
I learned Spanish. I've always wanted to take up singing lessons, but I wish I could sing. I probably could if maybe I tried to that, but like, you know, I have so many things that I want to do that you have to rationalize. Like you can't do everything at some point. But I used to do theater in school.
No, I love theater.
So I loved it. I used to think that I wanted to be an actress, but then I'm really glad I didn't go for it, even though part of me still is, because I'm like, I can be very theatrical. I like but yeah. What was my point? There's no point. You see, it's like a hobby. Sometimes there's just no point, and it's fine. But
what else do you have on your notes? Oh, go.
There was one other thing that I really wanted to bring up, because I think this is such an important chef's kiss of pearls of wisdom, as you know. Anyway, rambling. So she was talking about the difference between idiot compassion and wise compassion. And the idiot compassion is basically, which is something we all do, which is basically when you just validate your friend and back her up just for the sake of backing her up. It's like, yeah, he's such an idiot. or yeah, all those men you're dating are douches, and you're perfect and you're this, and it has nothing to do with you. And so we don't actually consider the third perspective of the person they went out on a date with. We just consider our friend's perspective and back it up blindly because we think that's what they want to hear. We just want to be supportive, and that's fine, but it's not productive in any way. It's not helping them in any way. It's just feeding into their patterns of maybe dating the wrong people, or going on too many dates, or looking for dates in the wrong places. And you know, I mean, this applies to a lot of other examples as well, but we were talking about dating, so I'm just gonna go with it. But you know, you want to be able to give your friend a perspective that's actually constructive and not just people pleasing. You want to be able to, not to tell them what to do, because I don't think you ever should tell someone what they should do. You can tell them what you would do, what you did in a similar situation, but I think every person should decide for themselves. But I think that's wise compassion that she was talking about, is where you hold up a mirror to them and you show them the other side, and maybe show them what their blind spots are, or maybe give them another perspective that they can't see, that will help them grow and will help them do better and be better and date with intention and go on better dates, you know?
Yeah, that really kind of struck a chord with me, because I agree. It's a very nice point of, you know, chef's kiss. Of sometimes you want to just, with my friends, with my close friends, I you know, and they say something to me and they kind of let everything out, and I'll say, what do you need from me now? Do you need to be listened to? Do you need advice? Do you need compassion? Like, what is it that you need? And with these friends, often they'll want advice or like my opinion, and then I'll say exactly the truth of how I feel. I'll always be compassionate to the fact that they're living, you know, a rough emotional situation, which is, you know, obviously. But then I will say, when I feel that my friend is being wrong, I'll say that they're wrong. And then I'll have other type of friends that I sometimes venture an opinion, and then I see that they are not receiving that opinion in a, like, they feel offended by it. And so these friends, I kind of just let it go. I will just say, you know, take a step back. But then on the other hand, sometimes I just need to vent. Like, I know that I'm in the wrong. I just need to vent, and I don't need to hear it. And so I was just like, you know, this idiot compassion and the other compassion, the wise compassion. And it's just like, you know, I think everybody needs a bit of both, and it's where, you know, where do you put yourself and what do you need, and, you know, are you being honest with yourself? And I think people who can say, I just want idiot compassion, they don't need the wise compassion.
Yeah,
because they can voice it,
they can see in it red.
And vice versa, if they say, I want the wise compassion, they probably need a bit of idiot compassion, like, because wise compassion often is going to confront you to harsh truths that you probably already know. So you just need to, you know, just, it's fine to spend. And an example of that is, I had a friend who she has a boyfriend, and she met a girl who had slept with her boyfriend, and she just rubbed her the wrong way and things like that. And so she was trying to be like her amazing self of like understanding and opening her heart to her and wanting to accept her, because she surely had all of these amazing qualities, and like, why is this person triggering me, and I just need to open my mind to her. And I said, stop it. You are allowed to feel bad and have negative feelings toward this girl who slept with your boyfriend before you met him. It's fine, it's understandable. Yes, it's not the best reaction, but who cares? Like, you're allowed to have that. And that's, you know, she was asking for wise compassion of like, Alison, tell me why I'm wrong. And it's like, you'll just give yourself a break type of thing. And yeah, and on another hand, you know, other situations where people tell you, oh my God, you're 100% right, when they're not, is not helpful.
No, it's not. And it's just feeding into their stories and
their
that
narrative,
they're telling themselves. And it's just making you, it's like feeding into, it's feeding into your narrative, and all it's going to do is make you repeat the same mistakes again and again. And you're not going to learn anything from it. You're not going to change anything, certainly. And I mean, I think a lot of times, like what you said is just perfectly explaining how we usually don't actually know what we need. We think we know what we want and what we need, but we need the opposite.
Yeah.
And I do believe that often when people come to talk to me, they just want, with anyone or with a friend, they just want to vent. They just want to let it out, and they're not looking for someone to come and give them the answers and solve all their problems. They just need to let it out. But I think it's important also to know when and what to give at the right time, and not just, a lot of times when a friend is talking to you, you want to give your 2 cents because you feel like you need to say something, you need to give, you need to you need to feel useful, you need to feel like you're making a difference, you need to feel like your opinion matters, or that you need to solve a problem for them, when in reality they don't need you for anything than just to listen to them. And I think that's the best that we can do a lot of the time, and it's certainly better than just validating a narrative that they created for themselves in their heads that is just erasing the role that they played in the situation, and that they're twisting everything up. And in general, I think we should let people find their own answers. I don't think you should ever feed anyone any answers. But I felt like that was a good distinction to make, where I try to do that a lot as well in conversations that I have, is not to just, and I want people to do that for me. I believe that that's how we grow as human beings, because at the end of the day, no matter how much I'm aware of myself with the self-awareness, yes, no matter how self-aware I am, I'm always going to have blind spots. And I want to surround myself with people who are able to help me see them, and who are able to point it out to me and help me grow, and not just feed into whatever narrative I need to create so I can live in delusion, or avoid coping with something, or facing something that I did, or just continue my denial. I want people to be able to hold up that mirror and help me grow, because otherwise we're just going to stay stagnant. We're going to keep repeating the same mistakes, and we're just going to be miserable in the end.
Yeah, completely agree. And you want that self-awareness, because
exactly,
people will say they want to grow and learn, but they don't really. And
you just want yes men around you who are just going to affirm what you think, which circles back around to what you were saying in the beginning, where I want to be right, and I don't want anyone to come in and tell me that I'm wrong. And I can't change my mind because I'm right, and no one else can possibly be righter than I am. So we just surround ourselves with people who affirm us all the time, even if we're wrong. And
that I'd like to say, look at these examples of these, but I think, it's in all walks of life. There are people who have low incomes and find themselves in both situations, and high incomes and everything. And you just, what is your objective, and what do you want from life, and what, I think nothing is right or wrong. It's knowing what you want and then going towards that, and then seeing what comes along. Is there a shortcut to that? Can you go in another direction? Like, what is it?
I think that's a good point to it's a good point to
I mean, it's a good point to end on. I think we're both kind of at our wits' end and coming down our juice. But I think, closing thing is, be clear on what you want, and before you give something to other people, ask them what they want, and then, it'll make life that much easier.
I mean, we should normalize that, of asking people what they want and also telling people what you need in the moment.
Absolutely.
But then also being able to distinguish whether distinguish.
Yeah, distinguish.
Is that the word I'm looking for? Yeah. On whether or not that's what they actually need. And because being a true friend and being a true a person, being a true friend is someone who's able to tell you, no, that's not what you need right now.
Yeah.
You don't need me to give you the answers.
Yeah.
You just need me to listen. Anyway, yeah, we're rambling now.
Yeah,
I'm rambling now.
Anyway, thanks for this chat. Thanks for listening, guys.
Let us know your thoughts. And like and subscribe and follow everywhere.
And
yes.
Comment and whatever. And and we'll be sure to come back to you.
Yeah. Yes, we will.
Bye everyone.